There is what we call BS and W in crude oil. What is BS and W? BS and W are basic sediment and water. What actually is BS and W? BS and W is both a technical specification of certain impurities in crude oil when extracted for oil reservoir. Crude oil will contain some amount of water and suspended solids for the reservoir formation. The particulate matter is called sediment or mud, while the water that is present in the crude oil, we call it as the basic sediment and water, which is the BS and W. And of course, we know that when our crude oil is extracted for the reservoir, it will contain some amount of water. The oil comes out with water and some particles. So this water and particles that present in this crude oil, we call them basic sediment and water. And today we'll be treating on this basic sediment and water. What actually is basic sediment and water? Number one, let's talk about free water. Water that exists in our own emulsified state because it has a high specific gravity than oil. Free water settles rapidly at the bottom of storage vessel and is easily drawn off by simple gravity separation. I will explain when I go through the video. Number two, emulsified water. Water droplets suspended chemically within hydrocarbons. When we talk about emulsified water, for example, if we want to treat our crude oil, we use a chemical demulsifier to treat the crude oil. So this demulsifier, by the time that it will mix with the crude oil, and with the water. So for us to separate this, we have to separate this emulsified water out of the crude oil. So, and we have a basic sediment, and of course we said some impurities. Some impurities are contained in our crude oil. By the time we start our crude oil, we have some water and we have some impurities. We have some sediments, which can be sand, it can be really mud, it can be skin, it can be clay, it can be sand. So all those things are present in our crude oil. Let me show you an example. This is an example of our crude oil sample. Now the BS and W, we have to check the BS and W of every crude oil before we transport that crude oil to any station or to our refinery. We have to check the BS and W quality, the quality of the crude oil, whether it contains water or does not contain water. So we see here that the crude oil, the specific gravity of the water have high specific gravity, so it have high density, so the water will settle down, while our crude oil that have low density, or you can say low specific gravity, will comes up, and of course we know that our sediment will settle down. So this is a crude oil sample that have water. Of course, we know that specific gravity of water is lower than the specific gravity of crude oil, so the water will settle down. So we know that in any refinery, the strict industrial limit and penalties is 0.5 amount of water that we must have in our crude oil for that oil to be acceptable by the refinery. So we have between the KPI or benchmark of 0.1 to 0.5. So when the oil is less than 0.5, it is acceptable. It is accepted immediately. When the oil is less than 0.5, it is accepted immediately for pipeline custody and transfer, normal crude pricing. So the crude oil will be accepted by the refinery. So if the crude oil is between 0.5% and 1.1, It is accepted with value and price deduction. So for example, a refinery make an agreement with a oil company that the crude oil should not be less than 0.5 to 0.1 to 0.5, and after they brought the crude oil to the refinery and they check it, they took a sample and they check it, and they noticed that the amount of water in the crude oil is 1.0, which is more than the agreement they made, which is 0.1 to 0.5. Now the crude oil is now 1.0. So the oil company can pay a lump sum of money for them to reprocess this crude oil. So it is accepted, but with value and price distortion, requires blending or treatment at terminal. If it's greater than 1.0, it is rejected automatically. We know it that it is rejected if it's more than 1.0, because if it's 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, it is rejected. It is unsafe for pipeline. We know that when we have much water on our crude oil, when we want to transport the crude oil through our pipeline, it will cause a corrosion in our pipeline. It will corrode our pipeline, and in the refinery, it will also cause a corrosion in our refinery equipment. So it is very important for the water in our crude oil to be treated before we transport it to our station or our refinery. So how is BS&W removed in the feed? Number one, we can see how is water removed in the feed. You can see here that the gravity settling. I did a video about separator. If you have not watched the video, please go and watch it for you to understand this gravity settling. And of course, we know that the water will settle at the bottom while the oil will be at the top. Thermal treatment. This thermal treatment, we can use equipment such as electro treatment heater to treat the crude oil. Chemical injection, we can inject demulsifier to treat the crude oil. Electrostatics coalescing. Also, we can use an equipment such as electro treatment heater to treat the crude oil, which is our treater. So what are the equipment used to check for BS&W in our crude oil laboratory? So we use number one, din and stack, and we use centrifuge. And you see the picture here, din and stack. We have our electrothermal, we have our condenser, and we have our bottom flask. We see our centrifuges, and we see our centrifuges, and see the sample of the crude oil. In my next video, I will explain how we do